My financially irresponsible sister tried to steal my lottery winnings and my family backed her. My name is Sarah, and I'm 32 years old. I've always been the responsible one in my family, a role that I didn't necessarily choose but rather fell into by default, largely due to the stark contrast with my older sister, Emily, who is 35. Emily has always been, to put it mildly, financially reckless. From maxing out credit cards in her late teens to constantly needing bailouts from our parents, her history is a long saga of poor financial decisions and a general inability to live within her means. I, on the other hand, worked hard, saved diligently, and built a stable career in marketing. I bought a modest house, paid off my student loans, and generally lived a quiet, comfortable life, always preparing for the future. Our parents, bless their hearts, are enablers. They love Emily dearly, and because she's always been the troubled one, they've often overcompensated, giving her more attention and financial support than they ever gave me. This isn't to say they didn't love me, but their energy was perpetually consumed by Emily's latest crisis. I learned early on not to expect much, and to rely solely on myself. This dynamic created a subtle but persistent resentment within me, something I usually kept buried deep down. A few months ago, something truly extraordinary happened. I bought a lottery ticket on a whim. I rarely play, but I was at the grocery store, saw the jackpot advertised, and thought, why not? A few days later, I checked the numbers. I won. Not just a small win, but a life-changing sum, $12 million. My mind reeled. I double-checked, triple-checked, then had my best friend, Jessica, check. It was real. $12 million. My first instinct was pure elation, followed by a surge of anxiety. How do I handle this? Who do I tell? Jessica, ever the practical one, advised me to consult a financial advisor and a lawyer immediately, and to keep the news under wraps for as long as possible. We decided it would be best if I claimed it through a trust to maintain some level of anonymity, which, in hindsight, was the smartest decision I ever made. The trust was set up with me as the sole beneficiary, and only my lawyer and financial advisor knew the full details. For weeks, I walked around in a daze, trying to process this monumental shift in my life. I continued to go to work, pretending everything was normal, while secretly meeting with experts to plan my financial future. I paid off my mortgage, invested wisely, and set up a fund for my retirement, well-being, and even a modest sum for future philanthropic endeavors. I was careful, deliberate, and incredibly private. I didn't even tell my long-term boyfriend, Mark, at first, wanting to get my ducks in a row before sharing such overwhelming news. I knew once it was out, things would change, and I wanted to be prepared. Eventually, after a few months, with everything secured and my financial future meticulously planned, I decided it was time to tell Mark. He was, understandably, shocked and overjoyed. He's a wonderful man, and his reaction was exactly what I hoped for: excitement for me, and a genuine concern for how this would impact our lives, not a hint of greed. We discussed our future, our dreams, and how this incredible fortune could help us achieve them together. We even started planning a small, intimate wedding. Then came the family. I knew I couldn't keep it from them forever, especially if Mark and I were going to make significant life changes. I decided to tell my parents first, in person, during a quiet dinner at their house. I prepared myself for their reactions, rehearsing how I would explain my plans for the money and how I wouldn't be changing who I was. Their reaction was initially one of stunned disbelief, followed by congratulations. My mother teared up, saying how proud she was, and my father just kept shaking his head, a stunned smile on his face. It felt good, a moment of genuine shared joy. I explained that I had set up a trust, that the money was secure, and that I was planning to continue working, albeit with more flexibility. I also made it clear that while I was now financially independent, I wasn't going to be a bottomless ATM for everyone. I offered to pay off their remaining mortgage as a gift and set up a small annuity for them to ensure their comfort in retirement, something they were incredibly grateful for. And then Emily found out. I'm not entirely sure how she discovered the news. Perhaps my mother, in her excitement, let it slip during a phone call, or maybe she overheard something. Regardless, the news reached her, and that's when the real drama began. Emily called me, her voice shrill with a mixture of excitement and indignation. "Is it true, Sarah? Did you really win the lottery?" I confirmed it, trying to sound calm and collected. "Yes, Emily, it's true. I won a significant amount of money." "And you didn't tell me?" "Your own sister," she exclaimed, as if I had committed a cardinal sin. Why did I have to hear it from Mom? What kind of secret keeper are you? I explained that I had been advised to keep it private and that I was still processing everything. I tried to pivot the conversation to how I was doing, but she wasn't interested. So, how much is it? She pressed that I hesitated, knowing that giving her a concrete number would ignite her worst tendencies. It's enough to ensure my financial security, Emily. Just tell me, Sarah. Don't be so secretive. Is it like $1 million? $2 million? I sighed. It's $12 million, Emily. A beat of silence, then a gasp. 12 million? Oh my God, Sarah. That's incredible. This changes everything. I knew what she meant by changes everything. It meant changes everything for her. The very next day, Emily showed up at my house unannounced. She was dressed impeccably, which was unusual for her, and she had a determined glint in her eye that I knew all too well. It was the look she got when she was about to launch into one of her manipulative schemes. She sat down on my couch, crossing her legs, and got straight to the point. Sarah, we need to talk about this money. I'm happy to talk about it, Emily, but I've already made my plans. I began, trying to preempt her. No, you don't understand, she interrupted, waving her hand dismissively. You won the lottery, but really, this is our money. My jaw dropped. Excuse me. Think about it, Sarah, she continued, completely oblivious to my shock. We are sisters. We are family. What's yours is mine, right? And honestly, you're so responsible. You'll just save it all. You won't have any fun with it. I'm planning to have plenty of fun with it, Emily, but I'm also planning to be smart with it, I retorted, my voice beginning to rise. But you don't need all of it, Sarah, she pressed, leaning forward. I do. I have so many debts. My student loans are crushing me. My credit cards are maxed out. I want to start my own business, a boutique, but I need capital. You have $12 million. You could easily give me a few million, and you'd still be rich. I stared at her in utter disbelief. She was seriously suggesting I hand over millions of dollars to her, as if it were pocket change, simply because she felt entitled to it. Emily, that's not how this works. This is my money. I earned it, or rather, I won it, and I have plans for it. But you don't deserve it more than I do, she exclaimed, her voice rising now. I've always struggled. You've always had it easy. This is a chance for me to finally get ahead, to finally have a break. It's only fair. The audacity of her statement hit me like a punch to the gut. I've had it easy? Emily, I've worked my entire life to be where I am. I've never asked our parents for a dime. I paid my own way through college. I worked 2 jobs to make ends meet, and I've never had a handout. You, on the other hand, have been bailed out by Mom and Dad countless times. How dare you say I don't deserve this? She scoffed. That's different. That's family helping family. This is a huge sum of money, Sarah. It's too much for one person. It should be shared. And honestly, I need it more. I have bigger dreams. You're just going to sit on it and be boring. The conversation devolved into a heated argument, with Emily growing increasingly aggressive, demanding that I give her a substantial portion of my winnings. She even started listing all the things she would do with her share: a new car, a fancy apartment, designer clothes, an extravagant trip around the world. It was all about instant gratification, just like every other financial decision she'd ever made. I stood my ground, refusing to budge. I told her, in no uncertain terms, that I would not be giving her millions of dollars. I reiterated that I had already taken care of our parents and that I would consider helping her out with a smaller, reasonable amount to pay off her most pressing debts, provided she showed me a concrete plan for financial responsibility. I wasn't offering her a blank check, but a pathway to get her finances in order if she was willing to work for it. That was the wrong thing to say. She exploded. A reasonable amount? You won $12 million and you're offering me scraps? This is outrageous. You're being selfish, Sarah. You're a terrible sister. She stormed out of my house, slamming the door, leaving me fuming and shaken. I knew this wasn't over. True to form, Emily went straight to our parents. Within hours, I received a barrage of calls and texts from my mother, followed by a Samba call from my father, all echoing Emily's sentiments. Sarah, honey, Emily is very upset, my mother began, her voice tinged with concern, not for me, but for Emily. She feels like you're not being fair. You have so much money, and she's really struggling. Mom, she asked for millions of dollars. She thinks she's entitled to my winnings just because we are sisters. I explained, my voice tight with frustration. Well, you do have a lot, sweetie, she said gently, but the implication was clear. And Emily has always had a harder time. Maybe you could help her out a little more generously? She's your sister, after all. My father, usually the more pragmatic one, was no better. Sarah, I understand you want to be smart with your money, but family comes first. Emily needs a fresh start. This could be her chance. It wouldn't hurt you to share a bit more. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My own parents were siding with Emily, encouraging her sense of entitlement, and pressuring me to hand over my hard-won fortune. I reminded them that I had already paid off their mortgage and set up their annuity, gifts they had graciously accepted. Their response was that this was different. This was about Emily, but what about my hard work? My years of saving? Does that count for nothing? I asked, feeling a deep ache of betrayal. It's not about counting, Sarah, my father said, sighing. It's about family. We are a family. We help each other. Emily needs this. I realized then that it wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a fundamental difference in values. To them, family obligations superseded personal achievement and responsible financial planning, especially when Emily was involved. My parents had always prioritized Emily's needs and wants, often at my expense. This was just another, much larger, manifestation of that long-standing dynamic. The pressure intensified over the next few weeks. Emily started a full-blown smear campaign, calling all our relatives, painting me as the greedy, selfish sister who had abandoned her family after striking it rich. Our extended family, many of whom had always seen me as the boring one compared to Emily's lively personality, started calling me, offering unsolicited advice, and even outright demanding that I do the right thing and share my wealth. My Aunt Carol, a particularly meddlesome relative, called me, her voice dripping with condescension. Sarah, I heard about your good fortune. And about Emily. It's truly disappointing how you're treating your own sister. Family is everything. You should be helping her, not hoarding all that money for yourself. Aunt Carol, with all due respect, this is my money, and I have every right to decide what I do with it, I calmly replied, though my blood was boiling. I've already helped our parents substantially, and I offered Emily a pathway to get out of debt if she's willing to be responsible. But I will not be giving her millions of dollars just because she feels entitled to it. Entitled? She's your sister. She deserves it, she exclaimed, her voice rising. You always were the difficult one, Sarah. Always so independent, never thinking about the family unit. Emily always put family first. This was a blatant lie. Emily had always put Emily first, and everyone knew it, but they chose to ignore it when it suited their narrative. The double standards were infuriating. I realized then that reasoned discussion was pointless. Their minds were made up. They saw me as a lottery winner with an obligation to distribute my wealth, especially to the perpetually needy Emily. The emotional toll was immense. I felt isolated, betrayed, and deeply hurt by my family's reaction. The joy of my lottery win was quickly being overshadowed by the relentless demands and the insidious guilt tripping. Mark was my rock during this time, listening patiently, offering comfort, and reminding me that I was not in the wrong. He reiterated that this money was mine, and I had no obligation to give it away, especially not to someone who felt entitled to it. One evening, after another particularly draining call from my mother, I broke down. I don't understand, Mark. Why are they doing this? Why can't they just be happy for me? He held me close. Because they're not seeing you, Sarah. They're seeing a lottery ticket. And Emily has always known how to play on their emotions. They've enabled her for so long, they can't see any other way. He was right. Their long-standing pattern of enabling Emily had created this monster of entitlement, and my lottery win had simply given her a new, much larger target that I decided I had to draw a line in the sand, firmly and unequivocally. I arranged a family meeting, inviting my parents and Emily to my house. Mark was there for support, at my insistence. The atmosphere was thick with tension the moment they walked in. I started by calmly addressing everyone. I've called you all here because this situation has become untenable. My lottery winnings have brought nothing but conflict and demands from Emily and, frankly, pressure from both of you. I looked directly at my parents. Emily immediately bristled. Here we go, the selfish speech. No, Emily, this is my life and my money speech, I countered, my voice firm. I won $12 million. This money is mine, and it is in a trust that I control. I have already provided for Mom and Dad, paying off their mortgage and securing their retirement. That was a gift from me, out of love and gratitude. I paused, then continued, looking at Emily. I also offered to help you pay off your most pressing debts, provided you showed me a concrete plan for financial literacy and responsibility. You rejected that offer, demanding millions instead, and then you proceeded to slander my name to the entire family, painting me as a greedy, unloving sister. Emily opened her mouth to interrupt, but I held up a hand. Let me finish. I will not be swayed by guilt trips, emotional manipulation, or demands. I will not be giving you millions of dollars, Emily. My money is for my future, my security, and the life Mark and I are building together. It is not an ATM for your endless financial irresponsibility. My mother started to interject, but Sarah, she's your sister. No, Mom, I said, cutting her off, something I rarely did. This isn't about sisterhood anymore. This is about boundaries, and I am drawing a very clear one. I took a deep breath. Because of the way all of you have treated me, the incessant demands, the pressure, and the blatant disrespect for my choices, I am making a decision. I will not be offering Emily any further financial assistance. And for the foreseeable future, I will be taking a significant step back from all of you. My phone will be off to family calls, and I will not be attending family gatherings until I feel that my boundaries are respected and my decisions are accepted. The room fell silent. Emily looked stunned, then furious. My parents looked shocked and hurt. You're really going to cut us off over money, Sarah? My father asked, his voice low with disappointment. No, Dad, I replied, my voice unwavering. I'm cutting you off because you tried to coerce me into giving away my fortune, because you enabled Emily's entitlement, and because you showed a complete disregard for my autonomy and my feelings. This isn't about the money itself, it's about respect, or the lack thereof. Emily finally found her voice, a furious shriek. You selfish bee asterisk 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 asterisk. You think you're so much better than us just because you won the lottery? Fine. Keep your stupid money. See if I care. She jumped up and stormed out, once again slamming the door. My parents, looking defeated and somewhat bewildered, followed her out after a few more futile attempts to reason with me, their pleas falling on deaf ears. Mark put his arm around me, offering a silent embrace of support. The aftermath was exactly as I predicted. My phone was inundated with angry texts and voicemails from Emily, followed by more pleading messages from my parents. I ignored them all. I unfollowed them on social media, changed my phone number, and effectively went no contact with my entire family. It was incredibly painful, but I knew it was necessary for my sanity and my future. Mark and I went ahead with our plans. We had a beautiful, intimate wedding, just us and a few close friends. We bought a lovely new home, not a mansion, but something comfortable and beautiful, and we started traveling, something I had always dreamed of but never had the means for. I continued to work, but with the freedom to pursue projects I genuinely cared about, rather than just chasing a paycheck. Months turned into a year. I heard snippets of news through mutual acquaintances. Emily was still struggling financially, jumping from one failed venture to another, still demanding money from our parents, who are now feeling the pinch themselves after their mortgage was paid off but their daughter remained a bottomless pit of expenses. My parents, I heard, were genuinely sad about the estrangement, but they still seemed to cling to the idea that I was the one who had wronged them by not sharing enough. They never truly understood that it wasn't just about the money, but about their persistent refusal to see me as an individual with my own rights and boundaries, separate from Emily's needs. Recently, I received an email from my mother, a long, rambling message about how much she missed me, how she wished things were different, and how Emily was still having such a hard time. There was no apology for their behavior, no acknowledgement of my feelings, just a thinly veiled attempt to guilt-trip me back into the fold. Presumably so I could be their source of funds for Emily's latest crisis. I deleted the email without a reply. I learned my lesson. My lottery win, while a source of immense joy and opportunity, also served as a harsh spotlight, revealing the true dynamics of my family. It showed me that their love, for Emily at least, was conditional on her needs, and my role was to facilitate those needs. Regardless of my own, I still feel a pang of sadness sometimes, mourning the family I thought I had, the one I wished for. But then I look at Mark, at our beautiful home, at the freedom and peace my carefully managed fortune has brought me, and I know I made the right decision. My financial security is not just about money. It's about autonomy, self-respect, and finally, after a lifetime of being overshadowed, putting myself first. The $12 million bought me more than just financial freedom. It bought me peace.